Miss Donna Thomas will lead us in our national anthem. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to have Brother Elk and Councilman Gino Withelder say a few words. Gino?
I'm standing in this morning for Mayor Weir, who had a prior family commitment, so he asked me to sit in for him, and of course I gratefully accepted. I'd like to share a few things with you that thanks to the internet I was able to dig out, and part of it is the history of Flag Day, and I'll make this kind of brief. The 4th of July was traditionally celebrated as America's birthday, but the idea of an annual specifically celebrating the flag is believed to have first originated in 1885. A school teacher arranged for the pupil in Fredonia, Wisconsin to observe June 14th, which coincidentally was the 108th anniversary of the official adoption of the Stars and Stripes, as Flag Birthday. In numerous magazines and newspaper articles and public addresses over the following years, he continued to enthusiastically advocate the observance of June 14th as Flag Birthday or Flag Day. On June 14, 1889, a kindergarten teacher in New York City planned appropriate ceremonies for the children of his school, and his idea of observing Flag Day was later adopted by the State Board of Education of New York. On June 14, 1891, the Betsy Ross House in Philadelphia held the Flag Day celebration, and on June 14th of the following year, the New York Society of the Sons of the Revolution celebrated Flag Day. Now this goes on, but I'll try to make it a little shorter. In 1894, the governor of New York directed that on June 14th, the flag be displayed on all public buildings. The gentlemen who were the moving spirits in the Illinois organization known as the American Flag Day Association was organized for the purpose of promoting the holding of Flag Day exercises. On June 14, 1894, under the auspices of this association, the first general public schools children's celebration of Flag Day was held in Chicago and Washington Park, Illinois, with more than 300,000 children participating. Inspired by all this time and history of local celebrations, Flag Day, the anniversary of the Flag Resolution of 1777, was officially established by the proclamation of President Woodrow Wilson on May 30th, 1916. While Flag Day was celebrated in various communities for days and years after Wilson's proclamation, it was not until August 3rd, 1949, that President Truman, who by the way was a very, very loyal and proud member of the Order of Elks, signed an act of Congress designated June 14th of each year as National Flag Day. And again, thanks to the internet, I came up with something. This happened at 4 o'clock this morning when I couldn't sleep, of course. And I remember when this actually occurred, and I believe it was in 1960. And I know most of you in the audience are old enough to remember Red Skelton, who was a fiercely wild comic and a very, very devoted American citizen. The following words were spoken by the late Red Skelton on his television program as he related the story of his teacher, Mr. Laswell, who felt his students had come to think of the Pledge of Allegiance as merely something to recite in class each day. Now, more than ever, listen to the meaning of these words. I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it is becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. Now, if you would all pay attention to this, it really, really hits home. And it starts, I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory, the symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, their respect because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United, that means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love of country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people. For which it stands, one nation. One nation meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle or quality of dealing fairly with others, for all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. Now he concludes with this. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance. Under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said, that is a prayer, and that would be eliminated from schools too. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Gino. Members and guests, the purpose of this service is to honor our country's flag, to celebrate the anniversary of its birth, and to recall the achievements attained beneath its folds. It is quite appropriate that such a service should be held by the Order of an Elks, an organization that is distinctively American, intensely patriotic, and without counterpart. Esteemed leading knight, What are the fraternal aims of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks?
It is emblematic of the crowning virtue, charity.
Esteemed leading knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
To inculcate in us the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity. To promote the welfare and happiness of mankind. To uphold our country and its laws. And to quicken the spirit of American patriotism.
Esteemed loyal knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of justice for all.
Esteemed lecturing knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is the symbol of brotherly love.
Lodge Esquire, what is the significance of the flag from the station of the exalted ruler?
It's a symbol of fidelity.
Charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity are the cardinal principles of our order, and they are exemplified in all of our services. By them we teach love of country and of our countrymen and loyalty to the American way of life. To be an elk is to be an American citizen who lives for their country and is ready to die for it. Would you please stand? The chaplain will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, in this hour of patriotic observance of the birthday of the American flag, we ask you to bless our flag and the people of the United States. For all that our flag represents, both at home and abroad, we thank thee, and that through all our history as a nation, it has been an ensign of freedom, liberty, and opportunity. And through the years to come, may this flag wave as the banner of liberty, freedom, and enlightenment. May this service bring to each of us a sense of loyalty to our country and enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans. To thy glory and to the honor of this great nation. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. That we better understand the meaning of our flag, I call upon Brother Charlie Ludwig for the history of the flag.
Heraldry is as old as the human race. The carrying of banners has been a custom among all peoples in all ages. These banners usually contain some concept of the life of government and those who fashion them. The evolution of the American flag marks the progression of the government of the American people. From the founding of Jamestown in Virginia in 1607 until 1775, the flag of England was the flag of the peoples of America. In 1775, the pine tree flag was adopted for all colonial vessels, and this was the banner carried by the Continental forces in the Battle of Bunker Hill. The southern colonies from 1776 to 1777 used the snake flag. In the latter part of 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to consider the question of a single flag for the 13 colonies. That committee recommended a design of 13 alternate stripes of red and white, with an azure field in the upper corner bearing the red cross of St. George and the white cross of St. Andrew. John Paul Jones, the senior lieutenant of the flagship Alfred, hoisted this flag to the masthead on December 3, 1775. And 1 month later, it was raised over the headquarters of General Washington at Cambridge, Massachusetts, in compliment, as he wrote, to the United Colonies. This flag, called the Continental Colors and the Grand Union, was never carried in the field by Continental Land Forces, but it was used by the Navy as its exclusive ensign and was the first American flag to receive a salute of honor, a salute of 11 guns in the Fort of Orange in the Dutch West Indies. In response to a general demand for a banner more representative of our country, the Congress on June 14, 1777 provided that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes of alternating red and white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white on a blue field, representing a new constellation. It is generally believed that in May or June of 1776, a committee consisting of George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross commissioned Betsy Ross, a Philadelphia Quakeress, to make a flag from a rough design they left with her. They said that she suggested the stars should have 5 points rather than 6. This star banner was first flown to Fort Stanley, called Fort Schuyler at that time, near the city of Rome, New York, on August 3, 1777, and was under fire 3 days later at the Battle of Oriskany, August 6, 1777, during a British and Indian attack. The first official salute to the Stars and Stripes was given on February 14, 1778, by France on the French coast, when the Ranger, under command of John Paul Jones, was saluted by the French fleet. This flag, then carried by the Ranger, was made by the young women of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, from stripes of their best colored silk dresses and white wedding gown of a recent bride. It is said that this same Ranger's flag was flown by Jones' ship, the Bonhomme Richard, in his thrilling fight by moonlight upon the high seas with the British frigate Serapis. When the Serapis struck her colors, the immortal fame of John Paul Jones was ensured as the intrepid defender of the Union. The original 13 stars and stripes represented the original 13. In 1795, 2 additional stars and stripes were added to represent admission to the Union of Vermont and Kentucky. Under this banner of 15 stars and stripes was fought the War of 1812. It was the site of event flying over Fort McHenry on September 14, 1814, that inspired Francis Scott Key to write what was to become our national anthem, the Stars Spangled Banner. It was Margaret Young who cut the stars for that particular banner. It was the mother of Henry Sanderson, Grand Exalted Ruler of the Order of the Elks. The Congress on April 14, 1818, adopted a resolution that on and after July 4, 1818, the number of stripes should be 13, and that the blue field should carry 1 star for each of the 20 states in the Union, and that a new star should be added for each state thereafter admitted. Since 1818, there has been no change in the flag design, except that 28 new stars were added before July 4, 1912. And this flag of 48 stars flew over this nation for 47 years until just before. On July 4, 1959, a star was added for Alaska, our first non-connected state, and a year later Hawaii. island state added a 50th star to become our present flag, 50 stars and 13 stripes. It is accompanied by the POW MIA flag to recognize the plight and demise of a special group of our armed services, those who were prisoners of war or still remain missing in action.
Please stand and salute our flag. Bugler, sound taps. As this emblem is first in our hearts as loyal Americans, so is it close to our altar as loyal Elks. The gentle breezes with lingering caress kiss the folds of no flag which can compare with it in beauty. There is no such red in budding rose, in fallen leaf, or sparkling wine. No such white in April blossom, in crescent moon, or mountain snow. No such blue in woman's eye, in ocean's depth, or heaven's dome, and no such pageantry of clustering stars and streaming light in all the spectrum of the sea and sky. Please be seated. Our flag is once a history, a declaration and a prophecy. It represents the American nation as it was at its birth. It speaks for what is today, and it holds the opportunity for the future to add other stars to the glorious constellation. The benevolent and protective Order of Elks is the first and only fraternal body to require formal observance of Flag Day. In July of 1908, the Grand Lodge of this order at Dallas, Texas, then assembled, provided for the annual nationwide observance of Flag Day on the 14th of June in each year, by making it mandatory upon each subordinate lodge of the order. This unique distinction is the strongest promoter of Flag Day. It is most becoming to the Order of Elks. This order is distinctively American. Only American citizens are eligible to join it, and it has no foreign affiliations. It has linked its destiny with the destiny of our country and made this flag its symbol of self-dedication to God, to country, and to our fellow men. Esteemed leading knight, a response, please.
The Stars and Stripes, flag of the United States of America, the worldwide hope of all who, under God, would be free to live and do His will. Upon His foes is written the story of America, the epic of the mightiest and noblest in all history. In the days when people of the old world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine right of kings, a new constellation appeared in the western sky, the Stars and Stripes, symbolizing the divine right of all to life, liberty, happiness, and peace under endowment by their creed. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States of America? There can never be a definitive answer to that question. There are people in this world who see it as a symbol of imperialism. Others see it as a destiny of the people. But reference to these and similar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag, which we honor and under which we serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought and shape of this nation. It has no other character than that which we give it from generation to generation. The choices are ours. Only love, true love of our fellow men, can create peace. The emblem and token of that love is the Stars and Stripes, the symbol of the American flag."
Lodge Esquire, how shall we honor our flag? The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth Companionship as part of a patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942. And in 1954, the phrase, "under God," was added. Let us stand and pledge ourselves never to forget the principles represented by this flag. Councilman and Brother Al Littman will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please be seated. At this time, our neighbor, one of the great supporters of our Mesquite Elks Lodge, Brian Worston, will lead us in song.
Tomorrow all the things were gone, worked for all my life. I have to start again, which is my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
In conclusion of this observance of Flag Day, let us rededicate ourselves to the flag of the United States of America, and may the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity ever increase. I'd like to introduce the officers of Mesquite Lodge number 2811, our chaplain, Shelley Piper, our esteemed leading knight, Charlie Lumke, our esteemed morning knight, Debbie Austin, our esteemed lecturing knight, Rick McDonough, our Tyler, Kathy Dubois, our Esquire, Harold Straley, and of course, I want to thank Gino, Al, Brian, and Donna for a great job. And I'd like to thank Tony. I'd like to thank the Boy Scouts for again coming with us and having such a great day. And especially Bill Nichols. Bill is the chairman of this event. Thank you, Bill. I now declare this observance closed. Would you please join us for donuts and juice and water? Thank you very much for coming.